We'd like to welcome each and every individual to the podcast for Voices of Integrity. And we have an interesting guest today. We have Tim Boersma, who is my youngest son. And so we're going to be talking about, boy, who knows? His mind goes kind of crazy as my mind goes crazy. So round and round it goes. Where it stops, nobody knows. I'm thinking, Tim, about talking about addictions, talking about some of your newfound self-awareness and some of those type of things, but we'll see where it goes. First, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your story, just anything to get the listeners to get up to speed on who Tim is.
So I am a 22-year-old male. Got kind of an interesting, intriguing story. Um, you know, at the age of 9, gone through some trauma where it comes to being put in therapy, being then molested by that potential therapist. And then, age of 13, going through some anger problems. They put me in a class for it in middle school to try to help me. And I never realized how much my anger had affected me. Moving on to about, 16, I get in my first relationship. That relationship was a jump start to how angry I would be at the world. I was a young kid. She was a young kid as well, and we were both very young and dumb. We were both putting ourselves through things together. Sorry, just both putting ourselves through a lot of different traumas, and we were both very, very angry at the world because we had been through at a young age. And so, fast forward about, 3 years from then, I'm 19, almost been dating her for, almost 4 years at that point. And I I go visit my brother, and we get angry at one another. And, you know, that is a turning point in my life. It was the shot heard around my world. It was the thing that affected my world potentially the most. My brother ended up killing himself in front of me, took his life in front of me. 12 hours of investigation, 12 hours of locked in a police car by myself, 12 hours of not sure if I am going to be put on the blame for this, 12 hours of just unsure mental pain. Um, and then I go home. After 12 hours, I get my parents are unsure if if I'm alive or not. The police had lied about if I had my phone or not. And then, you know, we get sent I get sent to a hotel. Um, we end up flying back the next day. I go back home to my relationship, and about 3 to 6 months later, we break up. I had been in a relationship from the ages of 16 to 19, almost, over 3 years. And I decide to blame myself, not at all. I believed truly in my heart at that time that I had done nearly nothing wrong. And that was the entitlement. As much as she had put me through some trauma and pain, my entitlement made me believe that I was the victim here and that I truly had done nothing wrong. 3 months later, after going through some stages of grief, I guess you could say, I found um, one of the most amazing people I had ever met in my life. We start dating 3 months after that. So I got jump into a relationship nearly 3 to 6 months after my last 4-year relationship from high school. I'm angry at the world. I'm angry at my ex. I'm angry at how the world had treated me, because I deserve to be I deserve to be seen. I deserve to be heard, that I'm the only one, because apparently in my mind, I'm the only one that's ever been through any type of trauma. Um, you know, I've put myself in, since then, a lot of different situations. I get put in a situation with, family that brings adrift across the family. And, I'm in my heart, I believe so deeply that, oh no, woe is me. I've done nothing wrong. Until it gets to about a week ago. A week and 1 day ago, I get broken up with. Don't get much of an explanation. I get it through a text, which is hurtful, and it makes me mad. Why does it make me mad? It makes me mad because for the first time in my 22 years, I blame myself. I'm mad at myself. And how do you get revenge against yourself? How can someone be so entitled that they hate themselves because of what themselves had done to themselves? And it's a come realization that, you know, after 22 years of my life, the first person I listen to about how angry I am is myself. Because I didn't get an explanation. I kind of got it here and there. You're kind of doing these things. Your anger hurts people. You're an angry person. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter to me at that point. But when it's finally me sitting with my own thoughts, I sit there in peace and serenity that I'm an angry person, and that my anger has gotten me into so many different troubles. But I won't say in 22 years I haven't had good anger, because in 22 years I have had good anger, and that anger has kept me alive. That anger has put me in a place of, I'm working my dream job. I'm working with 8,000 cannabis plants a day. That anger brought me that drive that I needed so deeply. And so I truly believe that anger can be one of the healthiest things that ever happened to someone, or one of the most harmful. Your greatest strength is your greatest weakness misapplied.
So what do you think it was, Tim? You and your girlfriend had taken a break, and you and I had talked, and you had said, that um, that you were entitled, and that created anger and a lot of other stuff. Like, how did you come to the recognition that you were entitled? Like, did somebody tell you that? Did you watch a video on that? Like, how did
So
it click in your brain?
for me, I went into the the breakup, assuming that it was going to be a break. And so I believed that I had about a week to fix myself, to come back to her so we could be all good and dandy. So I dove in deep. I actually went through about a half to full notebook of 400 pages of just what is going on. What do I need to do? What medications do they need to put me on? What people do I need to talk to? And so I signed up for an anger management class. I got put on medication, and then I was doing what I could. But how I've learned a lot of my life is through Google or YouTube. And so I just literally looked up anger management, YouTube. First video pops up. why are people so angry? Usually the question is how to control your anger. How to control your anger. Everybody is asking me, you need to control your anger, Tim. No one's ever really helped me figure out why I'm so angry. Because you can control your anger, but you also have to dig down to the deep root core of it is why are you so angry? You can't heal, you can't fix yourself if you can't figure out why you're so angry at the world. And the guy said, and I'm sitting there like, yeah, like I'm angry because my brother, he killed himself in front of me. My ex beat me. My ex put me through this stuff. I was assaulted at a young age. My current girlfriend doesn't want to be with me. And the first thing he said is, it's because you're entitled. And it hit me. Hit me
And
like a
I'd love to
truck.
get that video. So if you have that video, if you can find that video, because that was before the medication. I think that was before the counseling. That was like, if you can get that video, like I wonder if that video could be used by other people, and all of a sudden they would watch that same thing and say, wow, I'm angry. And the reason I'm angry is because I'm entitled. So anyways, if you find that, I'm sure our listeners would love to go ahead and see that video, share that video with other people. So that's
I would
good.
really like to get into that. Also, I wonder if this is a thought of, I don't know how it snapped into my head. And I think it's because, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out why that moment, because I've heard entitlement my whole life. I don't think I've ever heard it where it comes to anger. I've got a couple people in my life that, they tell me about my anger, but I don't believe, but I think that was the
I don't
first time
think so.
I
I'd
heard it.
never, until you said it, I'd never connected entitlement with anger. As soon as you said it, I'm like, that makes, if we think we deserve something and we don't get what we think we deserve, that creates anger. So yeah, I don't ever remember before you said it. You're the first one who's ever said it to me. First thing I've ever seen where I connected anger to entitlement. And I'm like, that makes, I have connected addictions. Like I believe every addiction that we have is connected to entitlement.
Well, I
Like
think that anger is an addiction.
See, and I wouldn't argue with you. I think that's true, but you're right. I don't know that I've never heard, the root of anger, is entitlement. So that was very profound. Now, after your girlfriend broke up, you then went ahead and came back and said that you realized how self-righteous you were, which was pretty profound too. Where so you're entitled and you're self-righteous. And then in one of our conversations, we were talking, and it's like the trifecta of disaster. The third is victimhood. It almost like I'm entitled, so I get angry. And then I use self-righteousness to say my anger is good. And my response to my anger is good. And then all of a sudden it seeps into victimhood. And it's almost like we've been hurt at a heart level, and it almost puts the steel plate around the heart, and it's like we can't heal. Like it locks in, like it cripples us emotionally. Like we can't grow, we can't heal from that particular whatever that's connected to, and a whole bunch of other messy things come in. And then we were talking, and I had said, Tim, my biggest concern is, like, I've seen not this exact thing, but I've seen similar things, patterns in you and other people, where it seems like people get better. People, like, they have a disaster hit them in their life, and then they correct themselves, and then all of a sudden, they feel good, they're back on track, and then they go back and do the same thing again. And it's like, when are they going to learn? And you said, yeah, I'm concerned about that for myself. And I'm like, well, what can you do? He's like, and you said, well, why don't, how about a podcast? How about, like, how do we, like you said, how about if I lock in this way of thinking? And so as medication, you know, for you, like mental medication for you, do you listen to this podcast, once a week or once a month or once a quarter, once a year to remind you, I can never go back to entitlement. I can never go back to self-righteousness, and I can never go back to victimhood, because those three things will prevent me from having the life, not that I deserve, because that's entitlement, the life that I can have when I work hard and I make the sacrifices that I do. So
And
I
I
think it
think there's
was,
a difference between entitlement and what would be the word for where you truly from the bottom of a heart, you say it with humility, but you have earned it.
well, I think
You,
earning something, like I've earned it, you know, but that just because I've earned it doesn't mean I deserve it. It just means I've worked really, really hard for something. Like I'm 59 years old, and in 3 years, 2.5 years, I can get Social Security. And
it's like the '08 crisis where everybody, worked their butts off, and then the housing market crashed, and everybody believed that they had. I think that entitlement. I'm trying to collect my words. I think that even though you've earned it,
doesn't mean
as
we're going to get it.
exactly, and as a great man once said, um, you can't have it. It's like playing poker. It's like playing poker. You're sitting there with a straight. You're sitting there with a straight. You know you're gonna win. It's because you've earned that. You've got the straight in your hand, and you're so excited because you got the money on the table. You're about to win this big win, and someone pulls out a flush, and you're like, "But I earned that. That's mine. I took that."
When
But
I
you
think,
didn't.
and I think entitlement is like a mental disorder. It's like an addiction. The more we get, the more we want, the more entitled we are, the more entitled we become. And it's like overwhelms us. And so, I've worked and put into Social Security since I was 14. So I'll put in, over 40 years. So I worked hard. I've earned that Social Security. I have. But if the government still has, if I get paid anything, I've earned it, I've worked it, but I don't deserve it. Like I'm going to be thankful and grateful if I get anything from that. And I think
It's being grateful. I think gratefulness helps diffuse the entitlement
you're
because in
right.
my last relationship, I believe that I had been through so much that I had almost essentially earned it. But I also believe that I deserved it because I had been through so much in life that I really deserved what I'm going through. And that's when I lost things. I lost appreciation. I lost um I lost a person. I lost a person. And that really sucks. It does, because she was one of the greatest people I've ever met in my life, truly. From the bottom of my heart. I hope she goes on and does amazing, great things, and I know she will because she's got a different type of drive than I do to her. But she's a hard worker. But you got to learn to appreciate what you do. Is yes, you can earn things, but as soon as you give up on appreciation of for what you've gotten, you put yourself in a path of self destruction because you've deserved it. And so everything that ever happens to someone, I truly believe they deserve. I deserve my brother dying in front of me. I
So if you're
deserve.
listening to this and this is kind of offensive to you, I'm not sure what Tim's going to say next, but I think it's important. Like, don't have an angry reaction. Like, don't, like, if you are a woman and you've been raped, don't go ahead. Like, don't, like, be curious. And what is he really saying? And maybe we agree, maybe we don't agree, but it's not 100% we agree or 100% we disagree. It's a spectrum, right? There's, what, like often we're in this society where we're so reactive to people. And when somebody says something that offends us, we're so fragile that we attack them. We get angry. And then a whole bunch of us get together and we all get angry and thinking, well, the more people that are angry, the more it validates that I'm righteous, that I'm a victim. And so listen to what Tim, because this is what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't know. Like if I say I don't disagree, it doesn't mean I'm agreeing. It just means that I'm not disagreeing. There's a perspective. There's some truth to anything anybody says. So what is that truth and how can we do it? Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, Tim.
No, you're good. I believe that I deserved what I've been through. And I'm a victim of assault and rape myself. And I'm not saying that I believe that those people could have not gone through that and done great things. But we deserve what has happened to us because we are here because of it now. Everything we've ever done, we've done. It's like the butterfly effect. When a butterfly flaps its wing, it creates a tsunami. Everything we've done in life have brought us to where we are now. We deserve to face those endeavors because you can't take it back. Yeah, you can get justice if you're, a victim. You can get justice, but justice doesn't always come. We know the justice system. It doesn't come. They get 3 years in prison. Blah blah blah. They're often two. It is. You gotta. How I think about a lot of things. It is what it is. It really is what it is because you deserve to yourself to forgive, to let go. Because if you don't let go, you hold on to it. And you believe for so long that you're entitled, that you're this victim. I've talked to people that have been in wars, that have seen people die, families slaughtered. And they sit there every day and wake up and they're happy for what they've gotten. And there are people dying with their families. And I've lost a brother. Yeah, I have. It is what it is. Because I still have the rest of the family and some people don't. And I can't speak for the people who are in those situations. And I can't say that everybody's got it worse. Maybe there's one person in the world that has worse than everybody else, but you don't know if you're them. So don't sit there on your butt believing that you're the only one on the planet, because when you truly believe you're the only one on the planet, you get entitled.
Right.
You think that is deserved. Heck, I used to get free donuts after my brother died. I had a little thing going, oh, my dead brother. People give me donuts. And those donuts were amazing. But it reinforced this value that I'm getting everything I get because of what I've been through. You don't want that. You don't want to get everything you've done because of a victim mentality. You don't want to sit there, oh, well, I've been assaulted. I've seen death. I've been beaten. All things that I've been through. And you can't sit there and say, well, that's why these things happen to me. Why the good? I deserve some good in my life. No, you've earned that good. You sat there and you busted your butt off for that good. You kicked some butt for that good. And you didn't do it because of what you've been through. That was the drive in you. That's what makes you angry. You got angry, but that is where I think the entitlement you can take out, and you can be angry about those things. You can be so pissed about those things, and you can use that to drive you. But why are you going to sit there and be angry and say, I didn't deserve this? I just did what I had to do to survive. Okay, do it without the entitlement.
So I think you're all probably thinking what I'm thinking, that we need to have another podcast with Tim for sure. Perspective, it's so easy. I think Tim nailed it. Thankfulness and gratefulness. Like we have a choice every single day. We have a choice every single day. Getting healed is easy, I think. Staying healed is hard. It just is. It's easy to go back to where we were. And being a victim is addictive. Being entitled is addictive. being self-righteous is addictive. Those are all very addictive. And so, I think a lot of times, my dad was a pastor, missionary, so I grew up in the church, very devout Baptist, 3 days a week, all the time, up until I was 40 years old. And so when you look at this, it's easy when we get surrounded by other people like us, it's easy to become self-righteous or to become entitled or to become a victim, because we congregate together and we validate one another. Like validation, it's addictive. Like the more we get validated, the more we want. So if you're listening to the rebroadcast of this, connect for sure. Pass this along to other people. Say, hey, what do you think? Like, let's try to make a difference in society. Like, if you don't agree with something that Tim says or I say, it's okay. Like, it's okay now. But take whatever truth there is and then have it as a point of conversation. Like, can we have a difference of perspective, and can we go ahead and discuss that and consider that? And I think that that's what the world is missing, and that would be something that both Tim and I, and Life Masteries Institute and Voices of Integrity and all the other groups that help participate and make this possible would do. And so share with other people. If you have any questions on this, connect with the individual who invited you to participate in today's session, or you can call toll free 888-230-2300, outside the US 630-393-9909. And if you know of other great guests that would weigh in on this or other really interesting topics as Tim has today, definitely want to go ahead and, pass that along to us too. We love interesting, exciting guests that have stories to tell and lessons that we can all learn from. Always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.